from Hollywood, California, the horror capital of the world, the Boulet Brothers, creatures of the night.
Hello, Uglies, and welcome to a new episode of the Boulet Brothers Creatures of the Night post-mortem podcast. And welcome, Swan, you as well.
Well, thank you. And tonight we're talking about episode 2 of the Boulet Brothers Dragula season 666, The Killer Dolls Challenge.
Yes, and first I want to thank the listeners and the viewers for making this premiere episode of the Boulet Brothers Dragula season 666 a smashing hit.
So huge.
Massive. I'm so thrilled because we put a lot into it. And I realized, like we talked about this, we did not cut corners anywhere. We did not cut corners anywhere in any way. And I didn't really realize how much we had put into it until the end and it was airing and people were watching. And I was like,
this is exhausting.
Yeah,
right? Like, wow, there's a lot to this.
Yeah, we always do that. But every time we get more resources, we dump all those resources right back into the show. And I think you can see it on screen.
I think you're right. And it is like kind of a labor of love. We're proud of it. Of course. Like that's what we do.
Yeah, and I just, again, I want to thank the fans for watching and engaging and being respectful of the competitors and all that. It just makes it a much more pleasant world to live in.
I agree. And I have a question for the fans. Are y'all all right? Because you're filled with compliments and praises for episode 1, and you're loving the EP, and I just couldn't be happier. I think listeners might know that Drac and I feel really close to this musical release because it's such a celebration of the things that we absolutely genuinely love. The dark side of things, Halloween, everything spooky and boofy, and everything in between.
That's your part.
Well, they both have to be represented.
That's your contribution.
That's Ian too.
Yeah, so if you have missed the announcement online, our holiday-themed Halloween album came out, the Boulet Brothers Halloween House Party, and we've talked about it on the podcast before, is the perfect Halloween album. That's what we created it for, is for people like us who love Halloween to put it on in the background and make their costume and carve their pumpkins and have a cute little night.
I love it. Yeah. And I know this sounds so staged and corny, but I'm going to say it anyway. I can't pick my favorite song. Like I love them and I kind of gravitate. Oh, this is the moment. And I'm like, no way, I love this one. Actually, these two. And it's just, I can't pick my favorite.
I feel that way about most of them. I do know my least favorite one is the vampire song, not because I think it's bad, but because that song is so legendary and iconic to me that I'm like, I don't think you can improve upon that song, but a lot of people are liking our cover of it a lot. So thank you for listening. Remember, you can get a limited number of vinyls on our website at bouletbrothersdragula.com. There's a couple of hand-poured ones, and there's like a limited number of 2 of a certain kind. There's only a few different kind of things out there. So get them while you can, because I think they'll make the perfect Halloween gift.
They are cute.
Next thing we should talk about quickly is the Los Angeles Halloween Ball, the 24th annual Los Angeles Halloween Ball.
I know we've said this before. It's so weird that we started that when we were like 18.
I know. I mean, it wasn't that long. Sure, it wasn't that much longer after. But yeah, I'm so excited. I love the lineup. I think this year is going to be insane. The tickets are flying out the door. So if you want to come to the Boulet Brothers Los Angeles Halloween Ball, make sure you get tickets now, because I can see on the back end that they are disappearing fast. You can get tickets at halloweenball.bpt.me.
And for those of you that have been, this year is going to live up to the legend. And for those of you that haven't, get your tickets, because if you love what we create, the Halloween Ball kind of exemplifies all the things that we pour ourselves into. It's Halloween, it's drama, it's drag, it's games, it's fear, it's scary. It really is everything.
But it is also a dance party. Don't get it twisted. Our origins are in nightlife and badass dance parties. So come there. You're going to see some slutty stuff.
Yep.
Slutty in a positive way.
Yep.
You're going to see some horny guys.
Yes.
You're going to see a lot of dancing. You're going to see probably drugs, drinking, partying. It is a party. Do not forget that.
But
it's also a live stage show, and there's a pumpkin carving area and a costume contest. And it's just sort of everything that we love about Halloween combined into one beautiful event.
Let's have a party right now by bringing in our co-host and cohort in crime for this episode, the Dolls Kill episode. Ian, welcome to the show, doll.
Oh, hey, dolls. How's it going?
Good. So I have a question for you.
I hopefully have an answer worthy of the podcast.
Did you collect dolls when you were a kid?
I did not collect dolls. I was a Pokemon nerd.
Okay.
But my sister actually had one of those creepy porcelain New Orleans dolls that, I mean, like half the cast did. So I was very, very familiar with that silhouette.
Got you. How about you? Are you a doll collector?
I wasn't a doll girl. No, I really wasn't. I wanted to be, but we just didn't have it like that.
Hey, what about you, Dracmorta? Are you a doll girl?
No, I did buy the She-Ra doll because,
Okay.
you know, it was like He-Man adjacent. And then I was like,
You're like, I really want to braid her hair.
I was like there with the little She-Ra army. And I'm like, you know, I'm looking at the little mirror decal on the Castle Grayskull. And I'm like, faggot.
Wow.
Oh, I love you
Single
for
tear
that.
runs down.
A single pink tear.
Mad that they didn't give the female characters in He-Man real hair. But I guess that would make them too doll-like, I guess. So they had these hard sort of updos. And maybe that's where our hair comes from in our drag.
That's your influence. That's the He-Man legacy in our Boulet Brothers drag.
Wow.
All right, so we all hate dolls, but we wanted to do a doll
Yay!
episode anyway.
Well, dolls are scary. I think that there are so many references and there are so many things to pull from of horror dolls and killer dolls. And we love some killer dolls. Maybe not doll gals when we were younger, but I mean, we all love Megan. We all love Chucky. Like, we
I
love
love
doll.
Puppet Master too. Like Puppet Master's so cool.
God, there's so many doll movies, honestly. And really the main motivator was Don Mancini. Right? And
Girl.
Jennifer Tilly. Like
Girl.
that. Yeah. When we were like, we want to do, oh my God, we should do a doll episode and we should have them on. And I was like, at the time we didn't know them. So I was like, I don't know. Would they want to do it? I don't know. But then friends of ours knew them. And then we ended up at a party with Don. And it all worked out and it was fantastic.
Literally, the universe conspired for us to succeed. Like that just like
so
fell
cool.
right into place.
And they were so easy and nice and not. Some judges can be, they're just a lot, you know?
Yeah.
They were not. They were so fabulous and easy to get along with and relatable. And I mean, I think you saw that on the show, the way that they interacted with the competitors. But anyways, let's start at the beginning, right?
Now, we've seen dolls on the Boulet Brothers Dragula before, but we haven't seen these dolls for this intro.
Our
They're
Chucky
so cute.
dolls.
Yes, they're so cute.
Did you
do
get
love
that they're
them.
Chucky?
Yeah,
Okay,
totally.
good.
Well, I think that the voice acting really sold it. Like, I was like, oh my God, this is so fun and sort of kind of marionette-y. Like, it just worked, and I loved it. And the dolls are cute.
They really are.
So we can tell people that are listening to the podcast now, a couple of weeks ago before we started the podcast, we had said that when Ian came in, we told him to walk over in this dark room.
Oh, that's
and there
right.
was a surprise on the couch, and that's what it was. The two Chucky
Oh
dolls
my
were sitting there.
God.
The Boulet Chucky dolls were sitting in there, and he was like, ah!
I'm so glad that I got to experience that scare because Drac got to experience that scare first.
Yes. So somebody brought them into the office and put them in the. I don't know why he sat them there.
It's a weird thing to do.
Right? Like set
on
them
the
right in the
couch, like
couch
they
in the
are
middle,
us.
in the
Yeah.
dark.
Yeah.
And so
Like
I
staring
came
at the
in,
doorway.
turn on the lights. I was the only person here, and I'm like, da, da, da. I was like, "Ah!"
That's hilarious.
So that was kind of fun, I think.
Yes.
But yeah, the whole episode was inspired by Chucky and all things doll and horror. Let's get into this episode.
Yes. Let's talk about the dolls on the table when the ghouls walk in.
I have a thing to say.
Okay.
I just love stupid questions.
I know what you're going to say.
It's like, okay, so check this out. It's just like in episode 1 when they're like, we all have these movie tickets. What's going on? And Auntie's like, well, I don't know. We're in a movie theater, you stupid bitch. Like, that was me when, I don't know who says it, but they're like, well, there's these dolls on the table. I wonder what that could be. And so I was like, well, I don't know. Maybe it's a challenge. I'm like, no shit, girl. Like, come on.
Just gifts.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you cannot buy those dolls, but you can buy the action figure soon.
Yes.
Yeah, in the background, we've been making these action figures. We've been working on them for quite a while, and they will be on sale soon.
Yes. They're so cute too.
I love them. They come in little coffin boxes, like G.I. Joe boxes. Yeah.
The packaging is so cool. I'm actually pissed that they're not here already, but I'm measuring my anger and I'm like trying to keep it under wraps, and it'll be fine. They'll be here hopefully, for all your stocking stuffers.
You flop, bitch, and you know who you are.
Holy Helen.
Yes, you do, bitch.
I will say the one piece of Boulet Brothers Dragula merch that I am desperate to get my hands on is I want a jersey.
Which one?
I want
that's
Team
the
Uglies.
workout one.
I want a Dodgeball Dragula jersey. I would legitimately go in the Cauldron to fight for it.
Oh God.
I knew that was going to happen.
I
If we had
know.
ordered them, nobody would have bought it. I know. Now, the
Oh my
episode does not
God.
come out until tonight. I know everybody's going to want them.
Oh,
Yeah.
The second I saw it, I was like, oh my God, I need one of these. Like, I desperately want one.
Son of a bitch.
Well,
I mean, we can make them.
Yeah, we can. We'll make the tanks. Those like airy
That
knitted,
sort of jersey
that
material.
jersey. What is it called? It has like the little holes
Yeah,
in it,
like
like a real
practice jerseys almost.
It's like kind of ridiculous to get produced, but we
sure.
can definitely make some cute Hello Uglies tanks that are like Team
Yeah,
Uglies.
those cost,
It's so
like-
adorable.
I think it was something crazy like 30 to 45 a piece to get those made.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's
God.
really dumb.
I was like, I thought they would be cheap like t-shirts or something, but it's like, no.
No, I'm sorry, everyone. No sports for you. Everyone's playing with dolls.
I mean, I could order them, but it'd be like $220 for sure.
well,
All right, so we have the dolls on the table. They can't figure it out, which I love. And then we get to see them interact for the first time post episode 1. What did you think of that interaction?
I want to give a special shout out to Jaharia. I live for Jaharia, specifically when Desiree across the table is like, gray matter, XYZ, da-da-da. And Jaharia is like, boop, I'm going to step in here and just get your wig for a second. So funny. I love it. I think that the Scylla, Auntie, and Aurora piece is back in full force. Like, I really love this. Although, the one thing I will say also, and this is also a love what's happening on Pie's face.
I want to ask you. Yeah, I know. Right? It was a look.
Yeah, I was like, okay, come on, Day Drag. Like, let's go, Daywalker.
I wonder if she was doing like a little homage to the battle as she beat up from the battle she got in with them the episode before. But what did you think of the way Pie was being received by the cast?
So I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say Pie's my girl. Like,
Yeah.
I just like Pie's attitude. I like their drag. And this whole conversation of like, it's duplicitous or it's a game. I'm like, this is season 666. Like, you should come and play to win. Like,
Yeah.
you should do the thing. And so I do understand where Asia specifically is coming from, because that was a little uncalled for for Pie to just be like, you're the winner. I don't like your outfit. But generally, I'm kind of like, okay, a little weird. Maybe I'm not getting the full story here from everyone. Maybe everyone has their own feelings. I don't know.
I was loving the character development that we were getting here. I felt like what a great example of the show, not the floor show or the drag, but these are like the artists in the workroom really hashing it out. Asia's calling out Pie. Scylla and Aurora are like firing off. Desiree was in the mix. Love Jaharia too. Like, calling each other out too. And Asia was like, well, you can say that now, but last week you said you loved my look, so why are you saying something different from everybody else now? And it's like, ooh, the duplicitousness, I love it.
And this is why we said we love this cast. Before,
Yes.
before the show started airing, we were like, oh my God, there was good. And everybody at home, I'm going to give you a big secret right now.
Ooh.
As they fight and get into it and they show their imperfection and their opinions and they're moody and all this, leave them be. Don't tear them up.
Yes.
Do not tear them apart, because this will be the last season that you get like this, because nobody will ever share their opinions again. So remember, it's a reality show. Let's eat our popcorn and enjoy and laugh and giggle and kiki about it and leave them alone.
That's right.
Totally.
And if you ever go astray and think you're going to come for them, just remember this. Go to the mirror, look in it, and say, you too are not perfect. Like, let them make mistakes and figure it out.
I thought you were going to say, go to your Castle Grayskull mirror, pull
Your pink tear.
the one pink tear, and just look
Call
at your
yourself
shame.
the F word. There was a moment that I absolutely loved, and I'm calling Desiree out, though. A joke at her expense, but I know everyone, if you caught it, you caught it. Majesty throws a barb at Scylla, which is Scylla says something, and she's like, well, we're not talking about, we're talking about those on the bottom, or something about Scylla.
Yeah.
And then Scylla was like, wait, do you really think I would have been on the bottom? And Desiree's like, yes, we all agree, anonymously.
I love that.
Oh my God.
So then we get into Dodgeball, our first fright feat of the
Yes.
season, hosted by your new exorcister, Cynthia Dahl.
Love Cynthia.
Cubes flying everywhere.
Insane, pure insanity. And I think people were having withdrawals from no Cynthia on the cast here, so we had to give them a little injection of some Cynthia Dahl.
Yes.
And you enjoyed Cynthia, yeah?
I love Cynthia. Cynthia can truly do no wrong for me. Like, it just does not. I would literally let Cynthia read a phone book to me, and I'd be like, yes, queen,
No, it's
slay.
so
Do you think
entertaining.
she could?
Well, she'd have to learn how to read first.
So I want to talk about Dodgeball for a minute,
Yeah.
Dodgeball specifically, because this challenge is kind of steeped in Dragula history. When we were doing the club version of Dragula in Los Angeles, we decided that we were going to take it to San Francisco and start doing it monthly there, which we did for a couple of years. But one of the first ones we did, we actually had drag Dodgeball at the night. So the queens that were performing in the pageant came down in full drag, heels, wigs, the makeup, everything. And we played Dodgeball in the middle of the dance floor. And people knew then they were at a different kind of party.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah. And so, I mean, we didn't make them get in drag this time, but I still think it was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, me too. Like you were saying that your heart was like literally racing. Like it was.
Oh my God. Listen, I am not a sports queen. Like, water sports aside, like, I'm just not into watching sports on television. But I was like, oh my God, this is really, who's going to win? And I had to freeze frame it, though, because I was like, now, wait a darn minute. Did Jaharia get out, or did, like, what's happening?
Oh, yeah, there was
Yeah.
that really close call.
Yeah, it was super close at the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really love that scene.
So, but Jaharia takes the win, and I love this because it gives us a moment much later, like when Israel walks in and he's taping up Auntie's arm, and Jaharia is like rubbing it in, like super hardcore. Like, this is gonna be a great floor show for me. I'm
Totally.
feeling so good as Auntie's like, oh.
My favorite, like, back and forth barb on that note is we're talking to Auntie, and Auntie's like, I'm not really worried. You know, everything is a silver lining. It's why I love makeup and why I love drag and blah, blah, blah. Everything is a silver lining. And the silver lining today is that I hate Jaharia.
Pretty awesome.
Love it. I just want to say, I think that gray matter has everyone fooled into thinking that they're like, I don't know what they think, but I see you, gray matter.
What do
You're
you
a
see?
freak nasty.
Oh,
Okay,
that's what you want him to be.
she's wearing these little hoochie shorts in the lab. I'm like, oh my, leading the pack with her little hoochie shorts on and her little jester shoes. I'm like, you nasty.
Well, she also got her cakes out on the first episode.
That she did.
Maybe you're right.
She knows what she's doing.
Takes one to know one.
So then we have this moment where Majesty pulls Aurora out for a discussion. What was your take on that?
Girl, that is so shady. I think it
think
is
so?
so shady.
So you don't find that it's helpful?
In what world is it helpful to be like, hey girl? And I love the way that Majesty frames this. Like, I gotta say, that is snake behavior, and like, just get it. Because she goes, oh, well, I heard this is happening. I heard that someone is talking about it. She goes, well, who do you think? Well, who do you think? And I'm like, oh my God, because, okay, obviously it had to come from somewhere, like, or did you make it up? Like whatever it is, like, Majesty, thank you for this scene, but also, damn.
I don't want to talk too much about it because I know what kind of grows out of this, but I will say they did not make it up.
That is,
I can say that,
Okay.
right?
I think you can, yeah. I got excited at this scene because I felt like this was a little bit meta, a little bit like a BTS in a way that the show has never really performed before, where we were pulling things that happen off camera, off set, like in another city, into the reality of the show that could threaten one of the competitors and have nothing to do with the actual competition. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, so for the audience at home that don't know, like the way reality TV works, especially when it's a competition and people are only on it for one season, you don't want the cast to get out. You don't want people to know who's on there. So it is extremely against your contract, your legal binding contract that you can get in a lot of trouble over, to tell people that you were on the show. So that's why this was such a big deal, because the accusation was Aurora had told people that she was on the show and it came back around.
Yeah.
And so, so that's how that's why that's a big deal.
So something else that's never happened on the show before that happens in this scene, and we're getting a lot of that. This episode, I think, is really just chock full of like the personalities and like the stories like sort of getting set up, is this idea that Pi pulls Asia aside and is kind of like, I want to be your girl. Like, you have a target on your back. Let's form an alliance. And it's the first time we hear that word. It's definitely not going to be the last. And this moment I thought was like mesmerizing. To see Pi kind of like hash it out, and Asia's processing, but then also getting super vulnerable about the infidelity and just inability to like trust people. So I thought a lot of cool like relatable moments got pulled out there.
Me too. And again, like, you know, this cast shares their stories very easily on camera. There's a lot more to come. And again, I just want to encourage people to like be cool. Remember, it's a TV show. Embrace it. Ride the ride with them. I'll say nobody on this cast, absolutely nobody, is an asshole. They're not.
Yay.
Like, these people are great. They all have their different personalities and quirks and stuff, but they're all good-hearted people who are incredible artists, I think.
100%. I want to point something out here that I noticed when Asia was getting like really upset in this scene with Pi. She kind of covered her mouth with her hand, and Asia is included in the skeleton hand sisterhood of Dragula.
Yes.
She has that skeleton tattoo on her hand, but so does Melissa and so does Coco. So we have like these three girls with like skeleton hands, which I kind of love.
That's
is
amazing.
She a nightmare girl?
Honorary nightmare girl.
She might be a nightmare girl.
God, I love it.
Well, speaking of our nightmare girls, we get thermal plastic in our creatives, and I was like, where is Kendra? Where's Kendra?
If you have not watched Resurrection, the Boulet Brothers Dragula Resurrection, please go watch it, because one of our favorite moments that we always talk about is Kendra using this thermal plastic to make something. I mean, we laughed about it for like 3 weeks.
I mean, to the point where we almost considered having some weirdo spin-off
craft show.
Yeah, it was like Kendra's Craft Corner. Oh, wait, with Kendra and Victoria.
We still, because I wouldn't be like, Victoria's going to try to do all this shit, and then we'll be like, Kendra, you got to try to figure it out. It's like a puzzle game.
Oh my God.
So before we get into Ian's take on the floor show and the looks and the judging, let's talk about our looks, because they were kind of epic this episode.
I, in all caps, with several exclamation points, said, j'adore these looks. Yes, this is it. And there are 7 T's in the word it.
All right. Are you ready for a little tea?
Yes.
Another, you want the 8th T?
8th T?
So, I wanted to be cute this year, okay? The hair was down.
She wanted
the
to be
hair
cute.
was down. I was
Very
like,
demure.
Very demure.
I don't want a uptight matron hairdo, you know. So, this episode, what we were supposed to be wearing were those skeleton bodysuits that we took on tour for the Halloween show with that wig. It was a cutesy, like,
Very cutesy,
retro.
very demure.
Yeah, and I was so excited, right? So Swan is fully in her costume, looking so good. I was like, yay, I'm so happy. So Andrew's helping me get mine. She's a little rough.
She got rough hands. It's okay.
I know. I do want to say.
Don't
well,
throw
let
her
me
under the
finish. Let me finish. So, well, I was there. You weren't. So I know what happened.
No, I know.
So the original skeleton, they were latex. We had these custom made. The ones that we wore on tour were vinyl, but these were latex. So Andrew's pulling it up over my hips. And girl, her hands just shot off and fucking ripped right in the middle. So the whole crew's waiting there for us to come downstairs. Imagine. So it gets worse.
I walk in the room. I'm fully dressed in head to toe latex, gigantic wig, painted and sweating, because that's what happens when you're in latex. And I look at Drax's back, and the whole bodysuit is blown out. In a state of there's no repair,
non-salvageable.
Absolutely.
Not at all.
I mean, in half.
Oh yeah, well, like also, there's this one story y'all have told about. I don't remember who it was, but someone at one of the fetish clubs like wore this pink latex dress that one cigarette got too close. Pop the whole outfit
right off her body.
Someone had a cigarette and burnt it, and it shot off of her body, and she was just standing there naked.
Bam!
No underwear or anything. So
Same.
This happened. We were supposed to wear this dress. We were not supposed to wear this dress with this wig. It was just all fucked up because we just pulled shit. I mean, I thought it would look good together, but I was like, I did not want to be this today. I wanted to be soft and cute, and I looked like a bitch.
Jack was so pissed, and I was equally pissed, but for my own reason. I'm like, God damn it, now I got to get out of this latex, wipe this lube off my body, like basically do like a makeshift shower. We were due on camera when I was walking into the dressing room to discover Drax's blown out outfit. And 3 hours later, we had to like figure out what hair.
Guess what? Those outfits were not, they did not have the lacing in them.
Oh my God.
And
are you serious?
There are about 60 eye holes in the back of that dress.
Oh no.
And Andrew does not know how to put it together.
Oh no.
He might now, but no, I don't know. He definitely didn't then. So it was like probably the worst day on set ever.
Andrew, if you're listening, I love you. And I also, I know how you feel. I've been through that gauntlet, and hey, many more to come.
I felt bad for him. So we finally get downstairs and we start. So let's talk about our guest judges, right? So again, we already talked about it earlier, but they are the reason we did this challenge.
Yes.
I was so excited and honored to have them on. I feel like Don Mancini is such a integral part of queer horror history.
Absolutely. What he's created just, it goes on and on. There's like such a huge library of content that's really queer going back to like the late 80s.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jennifer Tilly's such a queer icon.
An icon, truly.
And for those of you that don't know, she is going to be starring on the upcoming season of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And I know she's going to bring it. I know it.
Yes, she is. She's a gem. Like Jennifer, my note was like Jennifer Tilly is a gem. Like I love them both. And actually Don is someone that we've now become friends with who will be at our Dragula viewing parties. Like
we watched the premiere with them. We're going to see them tonight too. Yeah.
Very
awesome.
cool.
Okay, so let's get into the floor show.
Yes.
What did you think? Because you know, we've already said what we thought.
Was it creepy?
It was creepy, and if I had a shot for every time creepy was said, then I'd be drunk on the floor. Yeah, I will say that when the challenge directive comes out and it's a doll, and then I see so many clown, I wonder why.
So you thought that too?
Why? Oh my God! I was like, why is everyone dressed as a clown?
Because when I was talking to KC about it, he was like, "Well, you said this in deliberation, but I went back through the footage and I don't see a lot of clowns." And I was like, "What do you mean you don't see a lot of clowns?"
They were all clowns.
So I told him all the ones to flash back to, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I thought there was a lot of clowns.
Maybe there's a thing to it because I mean, okay, for me, the one that was screaming clown, the only one was Vivi. Like that was literally like a straight up legitimate clown, but
which looked great too.
Which was the clowns were fierce, but this wasn't like the Boulet Brothers Psycho Circus episode. This was the dolls challenge. So when we saw Auntie as the jester, I'm like, yes, it's a Jack in the Box. Is it a doll? And I'm thinking Jack in the Box, not really registering clown per se.
Sure.
Yeah, fit more into like a toy kind of world.
Yeah.
I want to actually give a shout out to Vivi because as I was watching the floor show, I had that thought of, okay, this is a clown, but then there's this one moment where Vivi does almost kind of like a freeze frame as like kind of like a doll and her head turns really slow. And I was like, oh my God, wow, like this is selling doll. And I think, Drac, maybe it was you who was talking about, I think maybe Scylla. It is so important for little details. Like, paint some doll joints on or, you know, and it's one of the reasons why I really loved Aurora's look this week. You know, having... without the pull string on the back, you could argue it's kind of, it looks like a lot of different things, but that pull string, I was like, this is a doll.
Exactly.
100%
Yeah,
doll.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, telegraphing doll for sure.
So overall, did you like the floor show? How did you think it was?
Well, I just love every floor show. It's, this is my favorite show. But this is not my favorite in terms of everyone's looks. I think that there are some really, really amazing standouts, though. Like, I think for me, the standouts, I mean, Auntie just crushed it.
Okay, you did feel that way.
Oh my God. When Auntie first popped out of the box, I was like, if Auntie doesn't win this challenge, I am going to make a fake Reddit account and I'm going to riot. Like, I'm going to riot. But no, I think that for me, I think there were a lot of looks that sort of, they fell into kind of like a safe middle range.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, well, we have to elevate some of these. Like, someone's got to win, someone's got to lose. Yeah.
What did you think of Jaharia's look?
I really like Jaharia.
You did. Did you feel it was doll-like?
Yes, because there's a weird reference, and I don't know if this is what Johari was pulling, but my favorite anime is this anime called Kill la Kill.
Yeah.
And the primary antagonist and protagonist, they both use like giant scissors as weapons. And it comes from, there's this character later who is a doll maker, and she like makes clothes, and like her whole thing is like making like scissors. And I just was like, oh, cool. Like there's like a fabric kind of thread, literally.
Yeah.
I do think that, and I wrote this down, I was like, it's giving a little Mickey Showgirl, but that's not a bad thing for me. Like, I think that it's important to say, hey, the Dragula cast can perform in a variety of different ways. Like, I love to see it.
I feel like if you saw someone dance like that on Drag Race, you'd be like, okay, you know? But we don't see that a lot on our show. So it really livens up the stage when you see someone who can move that way. I really loved it. The look, it grew on me. At first, I was like, wait, is this a doll? Which I think I said in deliberation. But then when I looked at her with everyone lined up, I was like, oh, she really looks like a Monster High doll, which is a doll.
Yeah, I thought it was super cute. And I was getting cartoon character too, like the oversized weapon. I didn't get the doll maker reference, but I think I remember her talking about that on set. And I think you might be right. There was something about like doll making and like the doll maker becomes the doll, or like, you know, some kind of meta thing like that. But I said it in Judgment too. Like I loved her ability to dance and move and command the stage, much to the same degree that she did in the first episode with the Creature from the Black Lagoon, just with the physicality, just totally owning the whole stage.
It's a performance competition.
Darling.
Aurora. I actually liked Aurora's look more than it showed because, you know, I get the shady edit too.
Oh, hey, someone's got to get a shady edit, mama.
I'm like, I said so many good things about them and they're not there. Like, none of it's there. So, yeah, I like. Oh, that was
Blame
the
it
one
on the
negative.
edit.
I know. That was the one gripe I had about Aurora's look. But I actually thought it was kind of cool. It looked like a doll from like a demented Simpsons world or something. I don't know. It was creative.
I was almost getting those like single mold plastic kind of dolls.
Yes.
Yeah, where it's like the whole thing looks like it's peeled out of the same mold, but then just the hair is
painted
the
different.
hair's painted. Yeah, I was like, this is really weird and really strange. I do agree about the bodysuit fitting.
You did? Okay.
I do. And the thing for me about Aurora is I just think that Aurora is fierce.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I don't want to come off as though it's like, oh, I'm picking on Aurora.
Right.
It's like your drag is already at this level. So when you come in with a high bar, you have to meet that bar. It is the burden of expectation.
It was giving David LaChapelle photograph of Amanda Lepore in like the 90s, which those are all amazing things. Yeah. Before we go to Judgment, we are going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Welcome back, my darlings. It's time for people to get judged.
So this was an interesting judgment, I think. Did you agree with the winners and who was on the bottom?
Absolutely yes to the winner.
Okay.
For me, I agree with the bottom two. There was one other that I thought was going to be on the bottom. Majesty.
It was the look. You didn't
I get it. It lives in a weird, what is that doll? It's got red hair and sort of like that
crochet kind of.
Yeah, like yarn hair meets like Slipknot. Like I get what's being gone for, but I just was like, I hate this. I'm so sorry, Majesty. I hate this look.
Their floor show was really it didn't show on because the way it was edited together with the lip sync, you didn't see it, but they told a full story throughout the thing. Do you remember?
Yeah. It was cool. And there were little gags too. And I think you saw some of it in the floor show footage that made it to the final edit, but you couldn't probably put the whole story together. But what I did love about it was that it was so physically performed.
Yeah.
Kind of also harkening back to the Dracula, which was also like a very physical performance. So this was like weird and creepy and quirky, and they pulled the string and their guts came out, and it was, I thought it was cute.
Yeah. And then we had that moment with Desiree, which was very sad.
Yes.
What did you think of that? You're like, I don't care.
I don't care.
Really?
I don't care at all. I'm so sorry. Like when it comes to reality TV, I'm like, save your tears for a different producer. Like
Yeah.
I'm not into it. I'm like, I get it. And Desiree, I'm sorry that you had such an emotional reaction to it, but at the same time, get ready for needles.
I react to it, you know,
Yeah.
like I definitely empathize when people have moments like that and like their emotions sort of bubble, especially in an uncontrolled way. Cause I can be like that sometimes too. Like sometimes even happiness can make me cry and it happens so quickly. In this case, it wasn't happiness that was making her cry. And I just thought Jennifer Tilly really showed up and like showed the type of woman that she is in that
sweet.
nurturing way. And it was very special. And even in life, more so than on the show.
It was. And I mean, kind of made us look bad, but
I just want to say, Desiree, definitely know when the camera is on. It is a performance competition, and if you got to turn the waterworks on, and if you got to get a hug from Jennifer Tilly, you should get a hug from Jennifer Tilly. Do the thing.
I think Desiree really wants to be there.
Of course.
Desiree wants to be there so bad. This is her favorite show. She's been a fan forever. And she happens to be a super fan of Jennifer Tilly. So like they were kind of her idols and she did not know they were going to be there, obviously. And I think it was just to feel like she did poorly on an episode that they were there. I think I can understand
Yeah,
it.
I think you nailed it. So Ian, you would agree that Desiree would have been in the bottom. You would have put Majesty also. What about the rest of the cast?
Let's see. So I was like 60% correct on this one. I think that this one was a little more on the, how do I say this? The more subjective feelings. Like for me, like I thought that Pi was going to be safe, but I was really, really pleasantly surprised that they were in the top. I was right about Vivi and Asia and a couple of the other ones. I really like Gray Matters. I think that Gray Matter continues to be this strange, weird goblin character, and I like it. But I'm also wondering, because like you said, you're like, I want to see a heel too. And I do too. Like,
Yeah.
I want to see a heel. And they said that we're going to get to one, so.
One thing that didn't make it, and I don't know why, because it was in some of the editing, like Jennifer just could not make this connection that Pi was a voodoo doll. Like Pi was an oversized kind of cutesy voodoo doll.
Yeah.
She kept calling him like a cookie monster, a gingerbread man, a shaman. And we explained it to her and then she did it again. So I was like,
my
wait a minute, this is
God.
not going
And
anywhere.
Pi's just sitting there nodding and being like, yeah, okay. And she's like, you know, you're like a cookie. And I mean, I guess a cookie's okay, but you're like a little face inside of
cookie
a
mouth.
big face. But the big face isn't lip syncing. The little face is, and that's weird.
I know. I love Pi's reaction. He's just like, thank you.
It's so
Thank
weird
you.
sometimes. We've talked about this before when we're in judgment and a guest judge is sort of going off on something. And you know the competitors are on stage
Yeah.
thinking, and I'm just like, oh God, what do I do?
So Auntie wins, and I think it's unanimous, like and anonymous, that she should win. And we see Scylla and Desiree make their way to the Cauldron to join the rest of the cast because they are the two that are up for extermination.
What did you think of this Cauldron?
I thought it was chaotic. I think this Cauldron is fun in a lot of ways. Like I love actually when people explore the set. Because it's so fun. Like the actual Cauldron and the set are really fleshed out. Like
Yeah.
there's actually a lot of like fun details. So to see people kind of, well, I'm just gonna grab another drink, or I'm just gonna go over here and just like, I don't know, play with my costume or something. And just like those are the moments that crack me up because Scylla and Desiree are like scream fighting.
Yeah.
And I'm like, like verbal tennis. Like it's so crazy.
I'm going to quote myself. It was chaotic, it was spicy, and full of secrets. Because when Asia pulled out that, oh, well, Pi told me that they wanted to do an alliance, like sort of in front of everybody
Yeah.
at Majesty's prodding, I was like, wow, this is really getting interesting.
I want to say too, that's when Pi's like, this is a game. They've turned it into a game, which I love. But you know, the audience may not have picked up on it yet, but this is a competition show, obviously, but there is a part of gamification to this season. And we alluded to it earlier on episode 1 in the challenge issuing. I don't know how many people caught it or not, but it's more than just having good looks.
Yeah.
It is. There's more to it. And that's why we keep giving them opportunities to use things against each other or change their placement or potentially form alliances. So some of them are starting to get that in this episode. And I think that was them saying, oh, I see there's a game here. I need to find a team member.
Yeah. I think another significant detail about this episode is that it is the first, and I'm going to say the first of many curses that we see this season.
Yay.
So the curses are going to be flying girls.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Love it.
it's fun.
Love it.
Yeah. So then let's get on to our extermination.
Yes. Dun, dun, dun.
I felt a little odd about this because I knew if we did it, if we ever brought it back, it's got to be worse.
Oh, yeah.
It has to be. Because if it wasn't, people would be like, season 2. You know? And so I'm like, I can't have that. I cannot have it.
No.
Nope.
So I will say, no one is ever forced to do something they don't want to do in terms of how far they take it. The same thing happened this time that happened, you remember, on season 2.
Yeah.
They decided to take it as far as they did. And I understand there's a pressure to think, well, I have to do more than the other person. So I get that. But you don't have to. I mean, they both went ham.
Girl, you ain't got to do all that.
And it was worse. So you want to hear a little more?
Yeah, totally.
So originally, I had them pierced at their knees and their wrists so that they'd be like a puppet hanging up. And we did the piercings, and then the rack thing did not manifest. So we had to go back and yeah, so they got like pierced more than you can say.
Wow, because I did see that wrist piercing, which was like kind of the circular or the curve.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, girl, that's I don't know about all that.
So then enter Scylla. Scylla was very like, I love needles. I don't care. Yeah, do them. You know, I do this all the time for fun, blah, blah, blah. Which don't ever do that when I'm in the room.
Oh, God, no.
Because I'm like, I want you to be scared. So
Yeah,
you're telling me now that you're not scared. So now I have to make you scared.
So now we have to
Oh
push
my
it.
God, you're giving Mary Cosby energy so hardcore. You're like, I want you to be scared. Don't tell me something like this. So now I'm going to make you scared.
Right? I'm like, that's the job. That's what we do. And so I was just like, anyways, it was a very interesting experience.
I think it was particularly interesting for Scylla too, because once those needles started going in, we saw a different kind of girl.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Both of them have piercings and stuff. So I think a lot of times when you're into this subculture, you get pierced and stuff. Everyone has random holes in them. And it's just,
Yeah.
you know, and that's sort of part. But for some people, I think it's very scary.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely, yes. And sure, getting your nipples pierced, getting your nose pierced, getting something else pierced, that's fine. I don't know anyone who's just like casually like, hey, check out my new knee piercing or my quad neck. Like, what? Oh my God. Or my shoulder.
That neck was so intense.
That was gnarly.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, but it's different. From what they told me, it was not that bad.
Well, I think it's the gauge, right? The needles looked like little straws, and there wasn't one or two or three. I mean, there was a lot going on.
Girl.
Yeah. I mean, look, it is a doll challenge. We have to do a pincushion.
It's awesome. I fully support. I love it. I was so happy to know that this was coming back. And when it was said during Judgment, I was like, fuck yes. Like, this is the energy. You know, Dragula is hardcore, and it's also glamorous, and it's also fierce and fabulous and all these things. But let's not forget, swimming with sharks, needles.
Yeah.
We're only on episode 2.
And we're only getting started.
Yes.
Let's fast forward to maybe my favorite talking head sequence of Dragula history.
So cool.
What did you think of the way that she died? Did it at all fool you? Did you think like, oh, we're having a talking head after the extermination?
Not fooled, but in love.
Nice.
Like, yeah, was not fooled because we, since season 2, we've never done the talking heads in drag.
Yeah.
And so that was my first thought. I was like, wait a minute, what do we, but what I really loved about it is some death scenes need time to sort of marinate and develop and coagulate and do all these things. And this one is so just glonk, slit, done. I was like, yes! Like, it's so brutal. I love it.
Oh,
It's a little calling card about what this season's going to be like.
Oh, Cutthroat?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, yes.
We did not hold back at all. And neither
love
did
it.
they. So,
yeah.
yeah.
It's like firing off on all pistons. It's pretty great. We are going to take another break, and when we return, we are going to reach into our bag of listener mail because we got a lot of questions about the premiere episode from this season. So we will be right back.
All right, we're back, and it's time to answer your listener mail. As you remember, we encouraged you on the last episode of Postmortem to write in and let us know if you had any questions about episode 1 of the Boulet Brothers Dragula, season 6. So here we are. Let's do it.
RJ asks, hello, Boulets and Ian. I wanted to say one of my favorite performances of episode 1 was Scylla's. I was so gagged. It was filthy. I was surprised then that you didn't enjoy it. I know execution and elevation is important, but Scylla had a strong concept and performance. It was so raw, so Dragula. After watching the actual episode, do you still feel the same?
Personally, I feel that the edit did her a lot of favors. Not that she was bad, but you didn't see the clumsiness. You know, the editors want to make a piece of art. And so I think it looked really cool actually when I watched it, but I was there in person and I just don't think it was as successful. It wasn't bad, but again, we have to pick who did the least greatest.
I love the audacity. And I love what she was shooting for.
Me too.
I think there were a couple of opportunities to really do drag, you know, the hair, the makeup, like even if you're kind of nude and it's minimal, I can get into that. But where you do get your opportunity, you need to score 10s.
Yeah.
And it just that wasn't there.
Leah Joy writes, I am currently in a horror competition myself. Within this competition, it's all about the votes and constantly posting and asking for everyone to vote for them. Although I do wish they had more fun extermination rounds like the ones you have presented. Not to call out my fellow competitors, but some of them just have sexy photos. Others are in monster makeup. Gratefully, I have made it to the top 5, but I would love to hear what would be the best route to secure this horrific win.
I mean, I think you said it. Look, like life isn't fair, right? These kind of things are not fair. It sounds kind of clickbaity too, so be aware of that. But, you know, it's like the Emmys. Do you think that they sat down and watched all of those clips and said, you know what? Saturday Night Live did better hair and makeup than on the Boulet Brothers Dragula? Because we know that's a lie, right? So it's just the way it is. It's like, yes, if that person's more popular, they're going to get more votes than you. That's the world we live in, unfortunately.
Drag the Emmys.
I know.
No, you know what I mean.
I agree with you.
Do you think that SNL has like sexy photos for the Emmys though? Like were they like giving them the nudes on the
They
sly?
have sexy parties. They have like parties that's like, you know, for your consideration parties. So there's these big galas and then people come and yeah. I mean, I don't know that they did that, but that's what most people does.
Anna from Tucson writes, 1. What are the biggest disagreements you have ever had as a duo or trio over any of your creative projects? 2. Which country has the brattiest Boulet Brothers Dragula fandom?
USA.
That's so easy.
Hands down.
So easy.
Although the Brazilian fan base is pretty snappy too, but they
like
come
snappy,
back.
They're like snappy fun though.
Well,
Like,
sometimes they can be mean and attack, but then they're nice again, like the next episode, like it never happened.
As far as disagreements that sprout up, I think the legendary one where Drac and I had on camera, which was Abora's win and loss in the Gothic Bride Challenge of season 2. Ian wanted to send Hoso home during season 4. We battled it out, and I think she was just hangry. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
We gave her a snack and brought her back down to earth, and then Hoso did not go home.
and I'm glad that Hoso didn't go home.
We have battled about winners before. That has happened.
yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I'll battle myself about the winner for like 4 months before we decide. You all know that. Some of you have won and lost in the same year and didn't even know it. What about you? Was there anything we disagreed about that you can remember?
Not really. I mean, I think my favorite thing about us working together is even when we disagree, I don't think that there's ever been a time where we've like got up from the table and been like, I fundamentally disagree on this thing and we could not come to a solution. Like, I think we work very well as a team. I will say that Swan and I are like rules and safety Martha sometimes, and Drac will be like, okay, extermination idea. dragged behind a car. And I'm like, wait, how?
I have a
Our
teammate
insurance
now.
policy.
I have a teammate now because Aaron's like, let's do it.
I know. And now I'm outnumbered. Thanks, Ian.
But I will say in his defense, he's the one that has to make it happen. So if he
Right.
says yes, then I'm like, good for you.
Raphael from Spain asks, we know both of you are getting into DBD later this year, and that got me wondering. If you were transported to any horror movie, which one would you survive, and which one would you perish in?
Well, I would survive in all of them. Duh.
Oh, come on, girl.
Hellraiser would be amazing, though. I'm like, give me a puzzle box, give me some bondage and chains. Like,
I would try
all
to
in.
kill Pinhead and absorb their power and their position. You know?
I want to
Get
be
outta
able.
here.
I want to be able to make those walls just move and like teleport in from another pleasure and pain dimension. That's hot.
I still feel like living in the world of Halloween would be very terrifying.
Oh my God, constant stalk.
Yeah.
William from Kansas City asks, love your EP and cannot stop listening to it. Would there be the possibility that you might drop more Halloween house party music in the future?
Absolutely. Yes, I want to expand it for sure. I'd love to do another one because I already have some ideas for some good
William,
songs.
thank you so much too. Like this project was like close to our heart. We wanted people to love it, and it's being so well received. So thank you for listening.
Tay from Boston writes, I also have one last question about the show. I recall you guys commenting on how the fan base tends to pick one cast member to eternally damn and then one to put on a pedestal. Do any of you have any prediction as to who may be nominated for both of those titles? I'm interested to see if you wind up predicting correct by the end of the season.
Spoiler alert: we know what happens.
Yeah, but if I had to base it on the reaction so far up to episode 2, I think Gray Matter is the sainted one. Yeah, so far. As far as who they are, like, you're the villain no matter what, we hate everything you do and say.
It hasn't been decided.
It hasn't
yet.
been. I'm not
Yeah.
seeing that yet, but I'm sure it's coming. It definitely happened last year.
Oh, yeah. Grace from Seattle writes, I wanted to ask what the song is that you used for the first floor show. It's been stuck in my head since I watched the first episode. Also, I know Drac is a big comic book fan, and I was wondering if you guys have watched any of Agatha All Along yet and what your thoughts were.
I'll have you know, I'm actually a medium-sized comic book fan.
Oh.
No.
That's right. And I'm a small. The song is an original track that we had developed specifically for the show. We've done that every season since season 4, and to some greater degrees than others. And I think this year there's 3 or 4 original tracks outside of a track that you'll hear off of the Halloween House Party EP.
Yeah, I love to make custom tracks for the floor show, but some of them I like so much that I want to reuse them, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't make a new song for every single floor show, even though I remember someone once saying that,
Oh,
they didn't
girl.
make
Yeah,
a new song for
The
this floor
drag
show. I'm like,
experts
are
were
you
trying
kidding
to drag
me?
us across the ground for not.
You
I'm
tell
like,
me what show has ever even
Yeah,
made a custom
Totally.
you know?
So Agatha All Along.
Okay.
Totally disappointed. And I don't think I'm going to be able to get through it. That's the reality.
I don't think I will watch the next episode.
Oh my
That's right.
God.
I don't like it.
Even though what was that? The Witch's Road song, that musical.
Hated it.
Oh my God, I loved it. Obsessed.
I hate
Girl,
it.
you were singing it like for days.
Sarcastically, because everyone on TikTok is, and I hate it. I
just-
don't like it.
I think
you take that back. I did
think
not do that.
The mystique that they built up on Agatha's character in WandaVision was brilliant, and you do not see any of that in this show.
She's not quirky or, you know.
Now, Aubrey Plaza
she's
is
great.
amazing,
Yeah.
and I think the sapphic kind of lesbian vibes that they're clearly, telegraphing are also kind of awesome. But I can't get through the show.
Why didn't they make the show? Okay, everyone loved the Agatha All Along commercial and the song. That's what the show should have been.
Yep.
That's what the show should have been, and it's not.
The
I
fans
don't know
would
why
have ate
people
it up. They
do
would have
that.
been so happy.
Lewis writes, my question is about Scylla's floor show gag. I noticed it was not discussed. Was that intentional? Did you both approve of it? I'm all for pushing artistic boundaries, and past contestants like Orkotic have done so in memorable ways, thinking of the Trash Can Children Challenge, for example. However, I felt like this moment might have been a little too far, though I get that might have also been the point.
I didn't feel like it was too far. We're talking about like the scat moment and like the disembodied like torso. I don't want to sound jaded, but I've seen stuff like this in shows and drag shows in clubs. And I actually really applaud it. I kind of love this stuff. Hi, it's why one of the tenets of the show is filth. Like you really can see stuff in a nightclub on a drag stage that you would never be able to see. And it sparks up conversations about things that are really stigmatizing, like scab play. And yeah, I didn't feel like we needed to go into that aspect of the show. What I wanted to focus on was the drag and the way that it was staged.
I didn't like the fake ass. Okay, that's
Not a fake ass fan,
That's the part that threw me off. Like the disembodied, just the ass. I was like, I'm not into this.
I'm just being reminded of a time where we were in Toronto for the season 2 premiere of the show, and there was a queen who did a Phil Collins number that also had like live fisting on stage, and I was like, diva. This is too much.
No, you're mixing up two performances.
Oh,
Same
right.
show. She did the song, I'm your puppet. She literally had her hand up this guy's ass.
I mean, it sounds a lot cooler than it was.
Okay,
Yeah.
but that was better than the Phil Collins number, though.
Yeah. I have to say about Scylla, by the way, I think Scylla is really interesting. She is great TV. I would
agree.
love to see more of Scylla.
I
Like, I
agree.
want to see more of Scylla.
Me too.
And that's it.
And that's it.
And that's the show.
The podcast is over.
Good night.
See you next week.
Oh, and also before you go, if you have any questions about episode 2 of the Boulet Brothers Dragula season 666 or our recap that we just did, please write into us at creatures@bouletbrothersdragula.com and we will try to answer your query on air.
The Boulet Brothers Creatures of the Night is hosted and produced by Morta and Swantula Boulet, along with co-host Ian DeVogler, with music by Neuron Spector.